to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. Item A, approve the minutes of the City Council regular meeting held October 17th. Item B, approve the City of Winstead's 2024 official appointments. Item C, authorize the mayor to execute an agreement for consulting planning services for the year 2024 with Municipal Development Group, LLC. Item D, authorize the city administrator to execute a quote from Minnesota Valley Testing Laboratories, Incorporated, to conduct coliform bacteria testing in 2024 for an annual cost of $690. Item E, affirm that the properties with property identification description PID 21.014.0300 and 21.023.0100 continue to qualify for inclusion in the Rural Service District at the same tax ratio as stated in Ordinance 021004, Section 1501.052. F, adopt Resolution R-23-62, accepting a donation from Allina Health System on behalf of Patrick Egan in the amount of $100 to be dedicated to Winston Volunteer Fire Department's Capital Improvement Plan. Item G, authorize PMA Financial Securities and 4M Fund to invest the City of Winstead's 4M Fund in those investments pursuant to Minnesota state statutes for the year 2024. Item H, authorize Northland Securities Incorporated to invest the City of Winstead's funds in those investments pursuant to Minnesota state statutes for the year 2024. Item I, approve a solid waste hauler license for Mumford Sanitation expiring December 31st, 2024. Item J, approve a solid waste hauler license for Republic Services expiring December 31st, 2024. Item K, approve a solid waste hauler's license for Waste Management expiring December 31st, 2024. Item L, adopt the recommended 2024 compensation plan. Item M, approve the pledged securities that Security Bank and Trust Company has purchased for the City of Winsted for the month of November 2023. Item N, approve the building permit report for the month of November 2023. Item O, approve the financial report for the month of October 2023. And item P, approve the claims list for December 19th, 2023. That's the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items A through P.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm going to open up the public hearing. I'm looking for a motion to second that.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing. I'll read this as we do for all public hearings. We thank you for attending the City Council meeting tonight to take part in the public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing this evening is to obtain comments regards to the proposed 2024 fee schedule. Participants who plan to speak have been requested to sign in prior to the public hearings. Those who may have yet to sign in order to be in prior to the beginning of the meeting may speak after those who signed up in advance. Each speaker will be asked to provide his or her name and address, and is limited to 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. We ask that you speak into the microphone at the desk so viewers at home can hear you. Citizens are urged to be polite and quiet as comments are made. Everyone is asked to abide by these guidelines so that the public hearing process can proceed smoothly and all who wish to speak have the opportunity to do so. First thing we'll do is I'll have Neil go through what we're talking about tonight. When Neil's done, we'll take any public comment. If there isn't any, then we'll close that public hearing and then the council will decide what they want to do. Neil?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. So annually, the City Council adopts the City of Winsted fee schedule in the form of an ordinance. The ordinance establishes a variety of charges for services regularly provided to the city, as well as various fines for violations of the city municipal code. It is important to note, while some fees and fines are set at the discretion of the council, like we get to choose how much a fence permit might be, some are set through municipal code, such as dance permits, Minnesota state statute, liquor licenses, and then the city staff regularly looks over these things and make sure that we abide and are consistent with all applicable guidelines and regulations. This year, we've made some modifications to the fee schedule. Some of the changes included animals, as far as our now allowance of chickens, building inspections, finance, licenses and permits, park and recreation fees, planning and zoning and land use, police department, and water and sewer charges.
Anybody from the public want to make a comment? With that, that period has come to an end, and so we're looking for somebody to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
We have a motion for closing. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we're looking for a motion to recommend that fee.
I'll make a motion to adopt an ordinance number O-23-07, establishing the 2024 fee schedule for the city of Winsted.
We have a motion. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under old business, we have nothing, but under new business, we have well number 5. Neil, you want to introduce us to our guest speaker?
Yes, absolutely. As a city, obviously, we have responsibilities to our citizens to provide water and water resources. And Mr. Jake Salisbury from Bolton and Mank is going to tell us how we are best going to be able to do that moving forward.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So we have a submittal dated December 11th in your packet. So a little bit of background. The city has 3 wells currently, numbers 2, 3, and 4. Well number 4 is the primary well where the vast majority of the city's water comes from. That was drilled in 2005. It's a high-capacity well, about 700 gallons per minute. Wells 2 and 3 are both older than I am, so they're a little bit past their prime. They're getting near the end of their useful life. The need comes with the Department of Health recommendation in order to have your firm capacity, which is the amount of water your city can produce when your largest well is down. So in this case, well number 4 is the largest well by far, and that has to be blended with well number 2 because well number 2 has arsenic. So if well number 4 goes down, the city's only well is well number 3, which doesn't always meet that firm capacity. So the state guidelines say that the city's short of water. And then when you factor in some growth that is planned to happen and hopefully some more growth, that number becomes more and more difficult. So recommendation is to proceed with a well. Completed steps, we started talking about this a few years ago. Initially with the water supply plan in 2018, that's a required document by the state every 10 years. And then with that, the following steps listed there, starting with number 2, the PFA, the Public Facilities Authority application, that was initiated by the city. And that led to several other preliminary design type steps that got us to determine a Mount Simon aquifer well is what was desired, which is the same aquifer as the current high capacity well number 4. And then narrowed down, looked at a few sites, narrowed down the site to the Weinbeck Athletic Complex. And then just recently, the PFAs, in this letter here, it's listed as intended use plan to be finalized. That has been completed since I submitted this. So that we knew that was happening soon, hence the reason why we did this submittal when we did. We're waiting for that step really before we're allowed to proceed with the PFA financing. So that just occurred last week. So next steps, estimated fees to complete those. So the next two main ones would be the PFA application. So there's a few things with that. It's a loan application. Eventually you have to get to the design. There's an environmental review component, a few things with some state dollars behind it. A couple other minor things not listed here, some financial documentation items. There's a property declaration. We have to do a little survey and show that the city owns the property and sign an agreement that the city's not going to sell the property where the well sits, things like that. So a few things to complete to get through that. Estimated cost on that is $20,000 to $25,000. And then the other step before we can get to final design would be the topographic survey, the field work, the processing that, getting that all set up. Estimated fee on that of about $7,500. So those two items together are $30,000 plus or minus. And that would get everything ready that's needed for the final design, as well as to get the financing in place from the state, from the PFA. I guess I glossed over that on the steps completed, but we did do a financial assessment, determined that, worked with the city administrator and city staff, and determined that the PFA loan will save the city money over the life of the loan. A little bit higher cost with that $20,000 to $25,000 to go through those steps, but much lower bond rate. So over the course of the loan, it saves a considerable amount of money. So all that recommendations are to proceed with the next steps: PFA loan application, topographic survey, and then ultimately preparation of plans and specs.
I have a question, Jake. You said something about it's almost to the end of its useful life. What things go into determining what determines that?
So that window on those useful lives are vary greatly. So in this case, typically you say 50 to 60 years for a well, which that is past for those older wells. However, they're not really used. They're basically used as backup wells. They're run very infrequently just to make sure they're still working, so they're not being taxed very well, or not very hard. So I'm kind of tiptoeing around your question, but if you were to use them as frequently as you use well 4, they would no longer function at this stage with that age.
So it has nothing to do with the water itself.
It's the casing, it's the pump down there, it's the structure of the well. So they are drift wells, so they're a little less reliable as far as what the yield will be, so that can fluctuate, but the age of the well, that doesn't necessarily always change.
Is this the well that has a little bit higher levels of arsenic in it?
That one of those two is yes, well number 2.
Okay.
Is that decommissioned then when the new well is well number 2? Will we still use it or no?
I would like to keep them labeled them as backup wells, just in case there's a problem, until there's a point where there's a significant amount of maintenance that's needed. Then it's probably more cost effective to seal them off.
So it doesn't meet the state guidelines for arsenic, correct? Is that the issue?
The guidelines that I mentioned were pertaining to just the volume of water that they pump. The arsenic, the state has thresholds for arsenic. Well 2 by itself is higher than that number, but it's not significantly higher, so we're able to blend that with well 4 to get that number down below the threshold. So we can use the water, we just can't use the water on its own. We can't take well 2 and just pump it straight into the system. We have to mix it with well 4.
So the level of arsenic doesn't meet guidelines, but we don't need to be overly concerned about it as long as it's
Correct.
mixed properly.
Correct. Yep. But then with the firm capacity issue, if well number 4, if there's a problem with well 4, then you can't use well 2 at all, because the way that's set up, that has to run with well 4. So you lose 2 wells if there's a problem, whether it's a serious problem or just a maintenance thing where you got to put it down for a couple days. And then you're left with only well 3.
Any other questions for Jake? If not, we're looking for a motion to proceed.
I would make a motion to authorize Bolton and Mink Incorporated to complete the Public Facilities Authority loan application and subsequent steps the collection of topographic survey data, and the preparation of final plans, specifications, and bidding documents relating to the construction of well number 5 in the city of Winsted.
We have a motion, looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, we will get to work. There's a couple state deadlines, one in March and one in June, so a couple numbers that we have to hit in order to proceed with 24 construction, so work with City Hall. I'll be bugging you, Raquel, for some info when that application gets moving, which I'm sure you're happy to hear about. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Next item is the liquor ordinance violation, Kegs Bar. Neil?
So on May 28th, 2023, Officer Helt and Officer Moonen were conducting their downtown business checks, which they do each evening, and noticed that there were still people at 1:51 a.m. that were exiting Kegs Bar. This is a violation of our ordinance 1201.016. Ms. Gugamis has pled guilty for the violation, was assessed a fee of $200. And our violations are per city ordinance. The license holder needs to be closed on a Monday and will be assessed a $500 fee. This is the way that it's been handled in the past with and is consistent practice for our last couple of violations for other businesses. For first-time offenders.
Any concerns, questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion to suspend the liquor license of Ape Hangers DBA Kegs Bar for 1 day, in which this would be Monday, as determined by the chief of police, and that Kegs Bar pay a $500 civil penalty to the city of Winsted by January 8th, 2024.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Go on to item C, water meter replacement project, authorization to purchase. Neil?
All right, so our current equipment for our water meter readers date back to 2008 and 2021. They had started to fail, so we had went and purchased approximately 150 meters, ended up seeing that a need would happen and worried about COVID and supply chain and everything that was going on. Ended up getting an extra 150, so we have approximately 1,000 or so meters in the city, and we are down to, of those original 300, we're down to approximately 70 meters left. They are failing at the old meters, the 2008 meters are failing at a higher rate than we had expected, and what we are asking for now is to be able to purchase 150 new meter readers in order to keep up with the ones that are going to that we anticipate, I guess, malfunctioning. If these aren't purchased, it becomes rather cumbersome for the homeowner and also for city staff. So we do have enough money in the water and sewer funds. This is split between both in order to purchase these. So we are recommending that we purchase 150, knowing that we most likely will not get them for 6 months.
So this would be as a result of funding coming from the water bills and the sewer bill.
Correct.
Will this take us through completely replacing everything, or would there be more?
No, this will put us at 450 of that approximately 1,000. So this will be looking at, and I think in our goal setting meetings, we'll be looking at what the best way will be moving forward on these and having a little bit better idea of how soon these are going to fail or at what rate they are failing. We know they're going to, it's just at what rate they're going to. And realistically, how many we can install.
Any other questions for Neil? If not, we're looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator to execute a quote for Meter Technologies Incorporated for the purchase of 150 water meter heads and corresponding equipment for a cost not to exceed $38,550.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, recommended 2024 final property tax levy. Neil?
And I know that you guys have been through some of this already. We've gone through a few different steps, but I think it's important for everybody at home and everybody in the audience to hear all of this. So this is going to be a little bit longer than maybe what you're used to. Per Minnesota statute 275.065, it requires all home rule and statutory cities to certify the final property tax levy on or before December 30th annually. On September 19th, city staff recommended a preliminary property tax levy of $1,499,590, an increase compared to the final 2023 property tax levy. Council opted to certify the recommended levy change. During a special city council work session on October 23rd, the council reviewed the recommended 2024 budget, and as a result of the review, staff recommends a final 2024 levy of $1,887,489, an increase of $137,000 compared to the adopted 2023 levy. So what we're looking at here is expenditures of $2,412,893 with revenues at $2,415,680 with a small surplus of $2,787. As far as the levy goes, the general levy would be $1,428,680, or an increase of 9.51%. The debt levy, remember that is something that we can't change. That's money we've already spent, at $459,000 at 0.37%, for, again, that overall total of $1,887,680, or 7.86% overall. It will increase our capacity, our net tax capacity, from 65.47% to approximately 65.88%. So staying roughly the same year over year as far as net tax capacity. Our options are to adopt this levy. So just looking for a motion or questions.
Council? No questions?
No.
Looking for a motion then?
I'd make a motion to adopt resolution number R-23-63, certifying the final 2024 general property tax levy of $1,428,489 and a final 2024 debt service levy of $459,000 for a total final property tax levy of $1,887,489.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're looking for a recommended 2024 budget adoption. Neil, you want to read?
I can repeat what I went through, but I did go through that. We're looking at expenditures of $2,412,893 and revenues of $2,415,680. Again, for a small surplus of $2,787 for the budget.
Any questions from the council? If not, looking for another motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-23-64, adopting the recommended 2024 budget for the city of Winsted, Minnesota.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Looks like our organization report is not going to happen tonight. We've come to the open section, open forum section of the meeting. If anybody wants to talk to us, step up to the chamber. Anybody but the police chief.
And Jake.
You're gonna have to cut the mic. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, very short and sweet. I usually say it almost every meeting this time of year, but no parking 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. On the city streets. It's part of our ordinance has been in place for quite some time. And we just ask that if you want permission to park on the streets, it's not an issue, but you do need to call the police department, 320-485-2600. Thank you.
City administrator update and announcements. Neil?
Yeah, I just have a couple here. City offices are going to be closed in observance of Christmas on Monday, December 25th, and Tuesday, December 26th. We also will be closed on Monday, January 1st for New Year's Day. We will not be holding a city council meeting on January 2nd, so the only meeting of the month will be on January 16th.
Any questions for Neil? Jeff, you have anything?
I have nothing.
Jesse? Steve?
Nope.
Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Merry Christmas, everyone.